Just a quick word before we get into the video, guys. I'm going to be doing this video a lot different than I typically do. I want to just sit down and enjoy this knife and this experience with you. It's not about shouting specs at you. You'll get the specs, don't worry about it. I feel that when this knife really hits the market and everybody gets their hands on one to review, you're going to hear nothing but 100% positive reviews. And there's no reason for me to sit here and jump up and down and scream into the microphone and go crazy. I want to sit back and relax and enjoy this knife for the love and passion that I have for knives, and do that with you because that's where you guys are as well. You're passionate about knives. You want to just sit back and enjoy it. You know what? Grab yourself a nice whiskey or rum, good scotch, maybe light up a cigar, sit back and relax, and we're just going to enjoy this knife together. Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to bring you something that I have been so excited about since the very first time I heard about it. This is the brand new Protech Bob Terzuola ATCF side opening automatic in the Tuxedo colorway, the very first colorway coming out. The next one is going to have the carbon fiber scales. Now, this is just now becoming available. Dealers ordered theirs when they were at SHOT Show and I think the Vegas show, the knife show that followed. So these are hitting the stores or the retailers in this first week of February. Now, I was able to reach out to Protech directly and get this. Just full disclosure, I've never had any kind of relationship with Protech in the past. But if you go back 8, 9, 10 years in my channel, I was one of the first guys to really sing the praises of Protech, and a lot of people jumped onto some of their products at that point, especially the stuff that we don't see anymore, like the ATAC, which was one of my favorite, the bolster opening version. Anyway, so I don't have any relationship with them, but I did reach out direct because there was no way to get one of these. Like, do you guys have any left? I really want to be able to review one. And they said, yep, we've got a couple here. We're happy to sell it to you. I paid my own money for it. And they were very generous to send this out as quickly as they did. Now, when we look at this knife close up, I think that you're going to be very impressed with the overall build quality, because Protech is known for, they're able to make affordable knives and still make them very high quality. Would I have liked for this to have been titanium with a backspacer? Absolutely, but that's just not feasible for the price point they wanted to hit, and it really doesn't fit in with their style that much. So what we've got here is an aluminum, my God, that fires hard. The aluminum frame with the ivory micarta scales and the ivory micarta inlay in the firing button. And this is the very first knife from Protech to be offered in MagnaCut, and I'm very excited about MagnaCut. The few people that have gotten their hands on these really have only done unboxings, and I think only one person did a review so far. Everybody keeps saying, and I don't know why, and this is the first time that Bob has collaborated on an American-made produced knife. And it's the first time he's collaborated on an automatic, and that's just simply not true. If you go back, I don't remember the year, so I'm not even going to try to say, but I've had one myself. He had done an ATCF collaboration with Microtech and Marfione, both for Microtech production and Marfione Customs. Did an ATCF, and it was a dual action, so it was manual, but it also had a bolster release automatic as well. So that was my first experience getting into an ATCF years and years ago. So yeah, he has done an American-made project, and he has done an automatic project. The only custom I've ever owned from Bob, I'll put the video up here somewhere. That knife was absolutely mind-blowing, because when you think about it, there are very few names in the knife industry that have lived on forever and will continue to live on forever. Somebody that has been a pioneer in the industry, but a pioneer always, not just, hey, he developed one simple, cool lock design that nobody else ever did before, and then that's it. He has continually brought things forward into this industry that had changed the face of the industry. So I think it's amazing that people that don't even know who he is, Maybe they're just casual knife buyers. They're Protech fans, and they see this knife and go, wow, that's really cool. I want to buy that. Then they see Bob Terzola's name on the back, and then they're going to Google it. And they're going to see what he's brought to this industry. I mean, he literally brought tactical knives to the industry. It's changed it entirely. He has written literally the book on those on tactical knives, and I highly suggest you go to Amazon. It's $40. Buy Bob's book and read why. Read why he designs the knives the way that he has, the purposes, the multi-purposes that they have served, and why he has been a mainstay in this industry for so long. I mean, the man is in his 70s. He's not retired. He's still making knives by hand. And now, thankfully, he's done a lot of collaborations that have allowed mere mortals to be able to own knives designed by him. Because let's face it, if you're going to go to a show, you're going to go to a blade show, you're going to try to buy a Terzuola off his table, you're spending $2,000 and up. It's expensive, but very, very well worth it if you can do it. So to come out for under $500, I think the street price is $480 on these. It's an incredible introduction into his mind of design, and it's a fun fidget toy. It really, really is. Protech just blows it out of the water. When it comes to a strong firing, side opening automatic, they blow it out of the water every single time. So with all that out of the way, we're going to go down, take a close-up look at this. We'll talk about the specs briefly. I mean, you can find the specs online or anybody else's video. But we're going to talk about what makes this knife special, both within the tactical folding knife realm, but also within Protech's lineup. And we'll talk a little bit about MagnaCut as well, because it's a steel that I'm personally very excited about myself. This is my first knife in MagnaCut, and I think it's pretty damn cool. I'm probably never going to take this knife and push it to the extremes that MagnaCut is made for, but I've ordered some MagnaCut billets for the knives that I make, and first one I'm making, I'm going to be testing the living shit out of it. I'm actually really excited about doing that. So the man that has pioneered so much in our industry made it up to a very, very strong leader in this segment with Protech, and then to use what a lot of people are claiming, and I believe rightfully so, in a steel that is going to then further revolutionize this industry. I think this is a very, very, very special knife. And as great as the carbon fiber version is going to be, do yourself a favor and try to get the ivory. If you like the tuxedo look, that is. Just because it's the very first one. And I think it's just going to make it a little bit more special in your collection. Let's go down and take a close-up look at it and see what we think of it. Okay, this one's really, really easy for me to get overly excited about. So I'm making a conscious effort here to be as calm and relaxed as possible. As I mentioned in the intro, I've been a longtime fan of Protech knives. I've reviewed several early on when I started my YouTube channel, but for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, I haven't been able to find all the ones that I see pop up. You know, they'll introduce a new model and, oh, here's a custom version of it in Damascus or this inlay or that scale. And I'm like, wow, I absolutely need that. And, by the time I see it, it's sold out and I get frustrated. So I haven't bought a Protech in quite a while. So when I saw Bob Terzuola post on his Instagram that these were going to be coming out soon, he showed the ivory that his wife Suze is carrying, and then he showed the carbon fiber that he was carrying. And I got really excited. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I love Protech. Love Bob Terzola's designs. This is really, a marriage made in heaven. But what I did, because I just wasn't sure, I actually sent a message over to Suze, she's just the most delightful and wonderful lady. And every now and then we chat via Messenger. And I'm like, so, how do you like it? Does it fire really hard? Does it really get you excited? She goes, you know what? They did such a wonderful job on this knife. She goes, you're absolutely going to love it. It really is great. So what I did, as I mentioned in the intro, I have no relationship with Protech. So when I reached out to Protech, I was introduced to a gentleman named Derek who kind of runs that whole side of things. And he's like, yeah, happy to sell one to you and send one out to you. It's not available in dealers yet, but he knew I wanted to get the video up and done soon. Protech is great. They work with you as a reviewer. They don't give you anything for free. You still pay for it, but you get a nice discount in kind of a trade-off. So just in full transparency there. Before I get into the packaging, I want to share the note that Derek sent. Cool little envelope, too, with the wax seal. Very classy, as Protech is. Hello, Jim. Thank you for your order. We are thrilled to be working with Bob Terzuola on this project. I'm sure his work and illustrious history within the knife industry needs no introduction. That's true. This is his first push-button auto, and we are proud to bring his legacy back to 100% American-made manufacturing. We made the knife just like Bob's Customs with the hidden screws and internally mounted machined titanium clip. Our first release is the Tuxedo, and we have many more excellent versions planned, including full customs. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Enjoy. Thank you, Derek. Well, thank you, Derek. That was really, really nice of you. And I got to tell you, what a wonderful experience. Derek seems to be a very, very nice guy. So, all that out of the way, let's look at the packaging. He was kind enough to send one of the Malibu Challenge coins, which I think is pretty damn cool. And a whole bunch of stickers. We all love stickers. Is that a TR3 or TR5? I can't see through the plastic. Very, very cool there. And this is the packaging that you'll always receive. Here is the end sticker. Terzuola ATCF Auto Tuxedo Black Handle 3D Tie Clip Ivory Micarta Stonewashed MagnaCut. First limited run of 2022. So let's get this off of there. I know my camera's not going to want to focus at all. I always love their packaging, classy packaging. You can pause the video and read that if you would like. And that's going to be very, very important for a lot of people, and that's a really, really great thing to see. Now, obviously, I've already taken the knife out. You saw the intro, but the knife itself will be in this plastic bag that's inside of this suede nubuck style sleeve. So we're going to get all the packaging out of the way and make sure there's nothing on the blade. Okay. So this is the knife here up close and personal. One of the things that I found really interesting when I first opened this up is the fact that it's a lot smaller than I expected it to be. As I mentioned before, I've only owned one of Bob's knives in a custom version. That was the Eagle Rock. And I will try to remember to link to it in this video because it was what a magnificent knife. But I've handled a number of his ATCF knives at shows and with friends that have owned them. And they vary in size a little bit, but they're all considerably larger than this. So let's go over the specs first, because that's going to be the most important thing right out of the gate, right? They put a retail price of $600 on this, but the actual selling price is $480. So when they are available at dealers, you'll get them for $480. Blade length on this is 3.5 inches. And that's what first shocked me, because the customs could be anywhere from 3 3/4 inches to just a touch over 4 inches, like 4.125 inches on his full customs over the years. And the cutting edge on this is 3.25 inches. You're only losing a tiny little bit here for this sharpening choil. And I think that's a really, really good idea, because a lot of people are going to be using this knife and are going to want to resharpen it. And you're probably going to bugger it up if it doesn't have that sharpening notch, if you're not a very good sharpener. The overall length is 8 inches. When you get into the customs, they could be 8 3/4 inches to 9 1/4 inches. So when I first pulled it out and put it in my hands, I'm like, oh, that's a lot smaller than I was expecting it to be. And that's not a bad thing. It's just something that I wasn't expecting. And now, after having it for a little bit of time and carrying it a couple of times, I really do appreciate the size a lot, because a lot of the knives that I carry tend to be in the 3.5 inch blade range. And I really run 3.5 to 3.85 inches is my perfect sweet spot. I'll go smaller, I'll go larger, but that's my sweet spot. And 3.5 inches, most of my favorite knives I've acquired in the past few years have been 3.5 inch blades. So this really fits in well for me personally. Fits my hand pretty good. In order to use the thumb ramp, it does kind of push me back right to the very edge of the handle. But holding it like this, I get to get a full handhold on it, and everything's fine. The blade material on this is one of the most exciting things about this release. The fact that they're using CPM-MagnaCut. And for those that don't know, MagnaCut was developed very, very recently. It just hit the market 6-8 months ago at this point. And Dr. Larry Thomas is who actually introduced it. Those of you that follow Knife Steel Nerds and have watched Laren's incredible knowledge on display for so many years, he developed a steel that allows a greater balance of high edge retention, high toughness, and high corrosion resistance all at once. And generally, and I talked about this a lot in videos over the years, but when you're looking at a quality steel, it's like gemstones. You can't have everything that you want. You're going to pull away from one area to enhance another. So, if you want to get really high toughness, you're going to lose a little bit of hardness. To get really high hardness, you're going to lose a little bit of toughness. Now, with steel, there's always that third aspect in stainless steels with the stainless properties, the corrosion resistance properties. And everybody wants to get the maximum out of all three. And it just doesn't work that way. What he's developed here is a steel that is going to give you the edge longevity and the durability similar to M4, but actually be a stainless steel and be very high on the stainless spectrum, to where, it's not a cobalt steel, but it's or a cobalt, but it's very, 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 very close to being that, where it's going to be nearly impossible to rust, corrode, or stain it. So you've got an edge that's going to last you significantly longer than your typical popular steels, CPM 154, S35VN, S45VN, S90V, S125. You're going to get better edge retention, and you're going to get a blade that is going to be less prone to chipping and rolling, and you're going to get high stainless properties. So for Protech to release their very first MagnaCut blade is very exciting. For Protech to release their first Bob Terzuola collaboration, and it's in MagnaCut, is super exciting. To do it in a signature colorway like this in the Tuxedo is, again, even more exciting. So for me, this really sealed the deal. It had everything all in one. You've got a good blade stock on this at 120 thousandths, and what that's going to mean to you is it's just thick enough to not feel too lightweight or too thin for actual use, but it's not overly thick. You're still going to get a pretty good slicey blade. It's not going to be the most razor thin edge you've ever seen in your life, because it's just not ground that way. It's really a multi-purpose blade. However, it's going to cut anything that you throw at it. And again, being MagnaCut, it should cut for a good, good long time. And another benefit to MagnaCut is it's supposed to be very easy to resharpen. So for the end user, this is supposed to be very, very easy to maintain steel. So you've got a blade profile that's going to do everything that you want it to do, and it's going to follow within Bob's philosophy of use in tactical style knives. There's not one particular thing that it's just great at and it falls short on everything else. It's going to be good for EDC cutting tasks. You've got a nice long straight edge. You've got a good belly. You've got a piercing tip should you need to pierce anything. and it's a strong reinforced tip. Now, it's not ground exactly like Bob's. What would happen is it would obviously get done very narrow to the tip, and then it would start bulking up right about here, about 3/4 to an inch of the way into back from the tip. It would start bulking up, so you'd have a lot of strength behind that tip. Now, this is not meant to be a fighting knife like Bob's knife. However, I don't see a reason why it couldn't be used if the need were to arise. It's just not ground 100% exactly like his, and it's not supposed to be. You're buying a $480 production replication of his knife. You're not spending $2,000-3,000 on one of his. There's going to be some variance. What I like about this is the fact that it has his overall look. It's a very clean, common sense, smart design. No unnecessary finger choils and swoops and sweeps and things that you don't need. It's made to be held in any position that you could possibly ever want it to be. Wow, it's really lightweight, easy to flick around, by the way. Unbelievably hard firing, fast action, which is precisely what you expect from Protech. I'm going to try to hold it very loosely here and see if you can see the torque in it. My good God. There is something so satisfying about opening a Protech automatic. And I suppose you guys, oh yeah, really want to hear that. Here we go. Woo! Yeah, it's unmistakably Protech. Another thing that I really appreciate is the fact that they did do his pocket clip correctly. I love that it's blind screwed. The placement of it, everything about it, the shape is very, very, very Terzuola, and it fits in perfectly with this design. Now, you are getting 2 pieces of aluminum that are brought together, and then they've milled that out for the ivory micarta scales. One of the details that I truly, truly love, oops, sorry about that, is the inlay in the firing button matches the scale. It's very classy. I'm going to assume that on the carbon fiber variation, that's also going to be a carbon fiber inlay. Very, very classy. I think that looks fantastic. There you've got the plain pivot on the reverse side. And here you have the adjustment on this side, should you ever need to adjust it. And really, you probably never will. Nice clean stonewash finish throughout the blade. Very handsome grinds on there. Bring it up here in the light so you can see it. There is Bob Terzuola's logo right there on the reverse side of the blade. Marked MagnaCut, and I believe they're numbered. Yep, they're numbered right there. Mine happens to be number 153. My overall impressions are, holy shit, wow, right? It's just one of those knives that it feels good, it looks good, it performs good. You know it's made of high quality, being Protech. It's affordably priced. Now, I want to back that up for a second. I understand, $480, and you're probably paying shipping from whatever retailer, let's call it $500, is not inexpensive in many people's minds. In the world of a high-end production knife, it's still on the higher end of that. But to me, it's a nice value because you're getting into what I truly believe is people are going to want this first edition. They're going to want this Tuxedo in MagnaCut, the very first release. I'm going to expect to see a lot of these flipped for a lot more money. I think it's going to be very collectible. It could possibly go up in value just because of the pedigree of what it is. There's a litany, there's a list of firsts that go into this knife for the company, for Bob, for a lot of reasons. So I think it's going to be very special. But just based on the knife itself, whatever variation and generation you may purchase in the future, I think with the overall quality build of Protech, again, the strength of their spring, the quality of the MagnaCut steel, the titanium clip, all these things brought together, I feel at $480, it is a good, solid buy. You could spend more with other knives and get less, to be perfectly honest with you. You got 6061 T6 aluminum that they've anodized, hard anodized black. It's going to hold up very, very well. Anything else I'm forgetting? Oh, we need to weigh it and do some size comparisons, since I was making such a big deal about the size earlier. All right, so the weight, are you ready for this? 3.5 ounces. Super lightweight. One of my favorite carries, which by the way is also a tuxedo style. 5.3 ounces. That's a huge difference. Wow, I didn't realize what a huge difference that really was. One of my Zebas that I truly, truly love. Nearly 8 ounces. That's a hefty boy. And my Jerry Moen at 6.2 ounces. These are knives that I commonly carry. Let's get you some size comparisons here between them. A lot of people own the Zeba S2s and S5s. That's the model size right there. That, by the way, just so you can see, is also just a hair over a 3.5-inch blade, but overall size is significantly larger. The Varga Knives VBR is a 3.5-inch blade. It is virtually identical in size to the ATCF. And we'll bring out my Moen. And that is significantly larger. And these are knives, again, that I mentioned that I often carry. I don't find burdensome in any way. So for me, this is going to be a compact, lightweight carry. And this is going to be great during the summer wearing shorts. Being only 3.5 ounces, it's not going to feel like much of anything. I mean, the flashlight in my other pocket is going to be significantly heavier than this. My keys are probably very, very close to this weight. So this is certainly going to be a very easy knife to carry. For those that don't know, Protech is actually a family-owned company. And they were founded in 1999, and they're extraordinarily high-tech. They work with CNC, they work with laser cutting, and even wire EDM for various different components. And to the best of my knowledge, every knife is hand QC'd. I don't know if there's a QC card that comes in the packaging. I want to say that at least there used to be. I don't see that now. And as far as I understand it, they're hand-finished or hand-assembled. So it's not like you're buying from some other big, huge brand that everything just comes off a machine. They clean everything up very quickly, assemble it, and it's out the door. There seems to be a higher point of pride with Protech, and it's easy to see that in the knives that they make. And keep in mind, if you find a model that you really like, let's say it's the ATCF or it's any other model, TR3, TR5, Godson, Godfather, whatever, there is almost always, as long as the model is popular enough to justify it, there is almost always a custom version that's being offered in very, very limited quantities. And those will be handmade, hand-ground, custom blade finishes or custom grinds. I know Mike Irie's done some custom grinds on TR5s. You'll have inlays that are much, much different, or scales that are much, much different, abalone and things like that. So you have the ability to collect within one brand and have maybe a $300 variation that you might want to use as a daily knife, and a $1,200 variation of that knife that's more custom and fancy that you might want to carry for different occasions. And that's really awesome. And there's not a lot of brands that do them. I mean, you got Benchmade that does the gold class, but they're so wildly overpriced for what they're actually giving you that very few people actually ever buy them. You know, then you have Microtech, and then you have the Marfione custom variations, and there's always a rather significant price difference between them. And I think Protech is very good with the balance of keeping the price points a little bit closer. I mean, some are, you know, there's going to be a higher charge for more exotic materials, but I feel that their prices are very fair, even for their customized versions. So does this live up to the expectation that I had? Absolutely. Does it live up to Bob's? Oh my God, I almost took a slice out of my skin there. Does it live up to Bob's reputation? I honestly think so. And that's really hard to say because, and this is not I don't want to make a whole video fawning over Bob. You'll hear that in the Eagle Rock video. But you are looking at someone who has been a pioneer in this industry for decades. So it was disheartening for a lot of people, and they were very vocal about it, when Bob started doing his collaborations with other brands that were made overseas. And they were like, you know what? I love Bob's designs. Yeah, I can't afford to go out and buy a, $2,500 knife of his at a show. So I kind of want a production version, but, this other production version over here is so inexpensive. I don't expect good things out of it. And by the way, I never heard anything bad about them, to be perfectly honest with you. So when he comes out here with Protech and does a really hard firing automatic, I think this is going to make a lot of people very, very happy. Unfortunately, there are people that live in states that are not allowed to own automatic knives, and I've always felt so bad for y'all. I know how crappy it is to see a really awesome knife and know, well, if I ever get pulled over for speeding and I got that in my pocket and that gets pulled out of my pocket, I'm going to get in some trouble. Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. But for those of you that can own automatic knives, I think this is a real, real winner. It feels right. It feels good. It's got Bob's signature look. You've got his name behind it. You've got the legacy of Protech behind it. There's nothing really about this knife that I can pick apart that I don't like. There may be people that don't like the lanyard opening. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I like lanyards sometimes I don't. The way this knife feels in my hand, I'm not going to be putting a lanyard on it. I don't need it. The fact that it's not this some ridiculous deep carry pocket clip where I go to grab it and I can't get a hold of the damn thing and need a lanyard, that's not the case either. This carries perfectly in the pocket. It sits in there right where I want it to. It's got the right amount of tension. Feels really, really good. How does that feel in the hand, though? See, that's wonderful. There are so many clips, and I was worried about this duckbill. There are so many clips that do that prominent duckbill that it's going to dig into your hand. But because this is centered in the handle instead of offset toward the bottom, where it sits in your hand in a normal grip is right in here. So it kind of tucks in. I'm giving it a good squeeze. You could see it in my fingers. There's no mark on my hand. I don't really have anything here on my table that does dig in because I buy quality knives and don't do that. But I've shown you some in the past and you could see it just dig in and create a mark. No hot spot from that clip. That is really, really nice to know. Here's the way I look at it. If you want a good carry for EDC that's lightweight, that's small, but still feels robust, doesn't feel too lightweight to handle actual real work, and you want something in an automatic, this is 100% clear winner, no way around it. If you want something that's got a really good story behind it, first Protech and MagnaCut, first collaboration with Bob Terzuola, first variation of that collaboration with Bob Terzuola. So many wonderful firsts. This is a great way to go. Otherwise, wait for the future variations. Now I got all excited with Derek saying there's going to be a custom version. Guess who's going to be looking out for that one? Yeah. And there are knives that I buy that as soon as it comes in, I don't want to really call it buyer's remorse, but I'm like, I'm not quite as excited about it as I was when I ordered it. And it may not last in my collection long. Maybe I'll keep it for a month or two to see if it grows on me, and I'll give it time, and I'll carry it, and I'll see how it works. And sometimes, immediately, I'll open it up and go, this just isn't for me, and I turn around and sell it. I opened this box, and I played with this knife, and before even carrying it, I went, this is a keeper. This is a really fantastic knife. And I'm going to have a wonderful opportunity this year to bring you a lot of knives. I've worked with a lot of makers to bring out customs. A lot of makers, a lot of friends of mine are developing mid-tech and production knives. I've arranged with them to have knives sent out when they're ready. I'm going to be bringing out a lot of content to you this year. And it's going to be very, very hard at the end of the year to say what my favorite knives were of the year. out the front, side opening automatic, manual folder, flipper, kind of breaking it down in categories. I think I pretty much already know what my manual folder is, and it's only the first week of February. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that this is going to end up being my side folder automatic favorite of the year. And yeah, it's hard to say that in the first week of February. You got a long ways to go for the year. But I really don't. There's nothing about this knife that leaves me wanting. There's no box unchecked. It's got the perfect blade profile. It's got a great edge. It's got a superstar of a steel. A steel that many are claiming right now is absolutely going to revolutionize the knife industry. And that is not ever said. We haven't seen a steel revolutionize, the industry in, 15, 20 years? You've got a hard-firing automatic. You've got, in my opinion, and opinions vary, I think it's one of the most handsome color combinations that you can get. So it's attractive and appealing. It carries well in the pocket. It feels good in the hand. So there's nothing about this knife that leaves me wanting. I don't know that there's going to be another knife that comes across my table this year that's going to do it for me in quite the same way. So to Bob, I say, congratulations, sir. You have another winner here. I am so very happy for you. To all the collectors that have one of these on the way or are ready to order one, congratulations. This is a very, very exciting knife, and you should be very excited about getting it. And for those that may be on the fence even after watching this video, I'm going to tell you this right now. Do it. What have you got to lose? This is a knife that's going to be so limited just because of the fact they're going to keep selling out, that if you get it and you hate it for some odd reason, you're going to be able to flip it on the secondary market for what you paid for. It's not going to be a problem at all. Take the risk. When have you ever heard me say that? In the nearly 10 years that I've been doing this, I've never once said that I can recall. Take the risk. There is no risk. But I can assure you, when you get it, you're really, really going to enjoy it. So I have refrained from jumping up and down and getting crazy. I'm fairly certain I didn't even curse in this video. I've been doing my best not to do that. But I don't want you to get a false sense of my appreciation of the knife. I don't want you to think, oh, it's all just hype. It's all hype and excitement. And he's just excited because it's a new knife and this and that. Nope. I'm putting this out there with some of my favorite knives. This is going to be in my regular rotation. There are knives that I might carry once a month or 2 or 3 times a year. I still love them. I just don't carry them as often for a myriad of reasons. This is one that's going to be in my regular rotation. It's going to be in my pocket often. Why? Because there's no reason for it not to be. Great size, great, love the weight, love the feel, love everything about it. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for me to carry it. And for those of you that have watched me for long enough, you know that my VBR has been that for the past year. The original VBR and now my Damasteel version. And it's funny because I had Mark make this version for me as a one-off because I really, really wanted the Damasteel with a tuxedo look. I wanted the black and white. So here is your daytime tuxedo and your evening tuxedo. So as you can see, similar sizes, similar color scheme. It's easy to see why I am so incredibly in love with this knife. The fact that it's made by Protech just makes it that much better. So here's my promise to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get back on the Protech wagon. I'm going to pick up a couple more Protechs this year. This has reinvigorated my excitement for the brand, very much so. So I've done some searching in the past couple of days for some models that I wanted. Every variation I want is sold out everywhere. So get used to that with Protech. So I'm going to wait for everybody to get replenished after the big shows that just happened. And I'm going to try to throw a couple more Protechs on the table for you guys this year. And I'm going to make one of them one of the Patreon giveaways. For those that don't know, I have a Patreon. You're welcome to join. I'll put that right down here in the bottom. And what I do is I try to do it every month, but it's at least every other month. I give away free knives, free EDC gear, really good stuff, really high-end stuff usually. And one of the knives I'm going to give away this year, I'm going to make it a Protech, because if you've never owned a Protech, this is how much I like the brand and I want others to experience it. I'm hoping that whenever I do that, I'll pick the right model, and it's a person that just happens to have never owned a Protech. I want to expose you guys to how great this brand is. So I'll be buying one, at least one for myself this year. I'll be buying at least one more just to give away. That's how excited it's not going to be an ATCF. Don't go putting words in my mouth. But it will be a really, really nice Protech that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Anyway, with that, guys, I'm out of here. I didn't want to make this a very highly structured video. I just kind of wanted to sit here and enjoy the knife with you. I don't get a chance to do that very often, and I wanted it to be with this knife. I wanted it to be with something that, I mean, this is a safe bet. As people start getting this and you start seeing more reviews, all you're going to see is positive reviews. 100% guaranteed. So you'll hear the specs from everybody else. I did get that out of the way, right? Yeah, I got all those out of the way. And you're going to hear people fawning over how great Bob is and how great the knife is. I just wanted to sit down and just share my enjoyment of this knife with you, because that's really what I enjoy the most. I'm happy for Bob, but I'm so much happier for the collectors out there that admire Bob and the work that he does. You're getting into a hell of a knife, so congratulations. With that, guys, I'm out of here, and I'll catch you on the next video.